basically, right? It's conscious. I mean, it can't decide for what it does. It's free for all, right? Funny, not really funny. No, not funny at all. So the free for all games. What are they defined as? Well, they're defined as such of competition in any sense, no matter of win or lose. So you can play a game as a child where you play pretend and do something, like building a tree house, for example, or just doing anything, like see something, or, well, you can just basically pretend anything as a child and play with it to find something out, to achieve a certain goal, or just because of the fun. Games are not necessarily a matter of win or lose, but they really can be if you compete. But you always need to compete to have a game. You can otherwise have a discussion, which is still a sort of game, and then we come to the point where life is not a game, but it has certain aspects of it if you interact with people that are game-like, but not all the time, because you do have, in my mind, a philosophically, a metaphysically, a rational, a senseful, and like a knowledge part to it. There's more to life than just interacting with each other in a game sense, in style and so forth, whatever. So it can be artificial or real. That's a big point. Like you can make a real game, for example, the Hunger Games, not a good idea. Or you can artificially create a theater play like the Hunger Games, which I still don't think is a good idea. It's a really good movie, nonetheless, but movies in a sense like this are, well, even if it's not real, they cause a lot of trouble on the mind of people, in my mind. Like, we see Heath Ledger as the Joker, and he apparently, I don't know, maybe died, you know. Well, I don't know, Heath Ledger seems to be dead, right? Could be just the Joker playing a part, that the Joker played his role too good and got it too much in his mind, and Heath Ledger is actually somewhere alive. Biggest conspiracy theory ever. But it really doesn't matter, because what I want to hint at is you can make an artificial game like a board game, or even just a football game. That's artificial already. Or it's real, like you make a real game, like you fight with someone. It's kind of a game at a certain degree. Like, if you have a fight, it's about your rights, it's about your conscience, but it's also becoming a game in a sense that it sparks your conscience into a spiral of competing with the other. So fights can be a game. It can or might be digital. Like, the game itself that you create, that is then artificial, it's not real anymore, could be digital. Like, in reality, you would know that it's a game, but it's really not the case. Reality is always perceivable, because if you, for example, create a star in your mind on the sky, you already know that you cannot create a star than more stars that you see, or have more thoughts that you perceive of the world than you have in yourself when you perceive a new thought that is not of the world, and so forth. You can make this infinite, like the infinite possibilities of reality that interact with your own conscious, or even your infinite conscious possibilities that interacting with your soul, and so forth. This is an infinite regress in a certain degree with a dogma, but it's really not matter. You basically cannot argue that reality is in any sense a simulation if certain aspects are true. Or as in any sort of technology, reason to it. Like, games can be products of technology, but like if you look at Wittgenstein, games can even be technology themselves. Like, it's really interesting, but games like football, whatever, any game at all, no matter the idea or the moral or the value or the consequential hypothesis behind it, can be a technology itself. It's pretty easy. And as possibly, like a possibility, technology itself. So it can be reasoned by technology, like a computer game. Then you have a game that is not real anymore, and it's artificial, but not really artificial because you're really interacting with it. And it's digital, but it's not really digital because you interact with it from a not real standpoint. And then the simulation hypothesis becomes unreasonable because that would be impossible in a simulation, but I don't want to discuss that today. Evil. Wow. Evil has a lot to do with games. You immediately have the consequence of evil in any sort of game, but you don't necessarily have it in life games. If people just play pretend and just talk with each other, and in a gameful way, in a playful way, whatever, in a senseful way, you have not really evil. So it's not a cause of life, it's a cause of free will. Sex can never be a game if you do it with more than one people. It can become a certain aspect of game, in my mind. If you sleep with someone you really love, you can make it into a game on more love, but that wouldn't really cause love. So what you could do is you could play to not have that. To perfect your love while not having the game inside your game of love. Pretty easy. Spark of will, though, the own image, not kids, me speaking here, definitely not kids, because kids are something that is also very interesting. If you have self-spark beings like the hypothesis of gods, it really not matter to talk to them about why they should make kids. It's inclined if you have self-spark beings that are alive and there was nothing before, kids are, no, that's not even the reason. The reason is they are also able to do that, they can do that, and most of the importance, kids are alive. Like, once you make kids, they're there. And maybe you didn't even think about it. And maybe it's not of matter at all. Maybe it has a metaphysical reason or any reason. It really doesn't matter as long as you are tolerant to your kids. Because then you just sparked life. It is not of matter what the reason are for kids if you are a god, or anyone actually, to spark their existence, or have them their existence self-sparked or anything. It's really not of any moral matter, because they're kids. Like, why not? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Why not? Why shouldn't? Like, there's no reason for it. If my wife and me desire to have company, they can still decide against that. And then you have just sparked life. Like, you can value your kids in such a sense and try to make their life the most perfect you can make it without interacting with their free will, or in sparking any bad desires in them, or letting them walk astray of the path but not the light, and turn from the strain but not really, like Power, I don't know. Hostage of Love is a nice song. The problem here is that it's morally desirable for own goods or desire, not the thing with kids, but the own image of spark of will with evil. So evil doesn't do kids because it wants to have an own image in the kids. The spark of will, I mean, is they do some certain kind of evil because they think it's morally desirable for themselves. Like, if I manipulate you this way, I could get that out of the future, what you will do, and therefore, I win. Or I get something for my benefit of myself, so I win. The Shadow Rulers are different, though. What I describe as Shadow Rulers are simply evil incarnate most of the time, like almost all of the time, but not all of the time, but it's difficult. And then we have Game Evil. Game Evil is different. Like, you see it in some kids, they play with other kids. In my mind, if anyone sees kids on the street or in the kindergarten at any point, I'm not particularly interested in watching kids. So, but you do observe kids, and if you have your own kids, you observe their behavior to a certain degree. They're not an experiment or anything of that. That would be actually a wrong reason to make kids. What wouldn't be a wrong reason in my mind, speaking of kids, because evil is incarnated then in kids, but also freely chosen. Well, not really, it's freely chosen and can be then incarnated in kids, like hypothetically speaking in my mind. But if you observe kids and their behavior to a certain degree, didn't make a fucking experiment out of them, or created them simply for the degree of knowledge that you want to achieve, so You leave them the free choice to abide to your rules or not, and they can leave the family at some certain point. When you're done with your education and your values and your goals and your things you want to achieve, to explain them to them, and then you leave them the free choice to have the free choice on that, then you have game evil. Well, game evil does that, exactly that, but different. They don't really want to control anyone. They don't really want to cause or harm or rule anyone. They just simply want to do some evil without getting hurt. They like the idea of evil too much to control their own tendencies, which I think every conscious has to a degree, at least mine does. But, well, I do it differently. And I would never get consumed by it, I would just be weird. Like more weird than I am already. So game evil does exactly that. It wishes for an idea to cause evil without harm. Like a yacht club, for example. Or a Harry Potter game. Or any of it. Like maybe even something like skating on water or something like it. You can make infinite possibilities for this. So, and then we have the jokers. Well, the jokers are really difficult to explain in my mind because I really can't get along with these consciousness, even though I seem to be sometimes like this. I sometimes have a really weird humor, even an ironic humor, and that's where we come to the point. Jokers just really like irony, not sarcasm, that's the shadow rulers. Sometimes they do sarcasm, but it's really not matter. And they really are just, in my mind, the people who, well, they don't care. I want to have fun, but I don't want to harm anyone, and I don't want to experience harm. I just want to say something that's evil. Let me. Well, just don't listen to me. You have the choice. And that's when it gets difficult with jokers. They then try to manipulate you most of the time to listen to them. Like, you will listen to my joke about you, and you will give me attention for it. Yes. No. Nah. Like this, right? It's a joker. And at some point, if he doesn't gets too much attention, he might become the enemy of Batman, the nemesis. Can happen. Sometimes. So, problem here, that's not a joke. 4 kinds of evil in my mind exist, at least these 4 kinds of evil I'm sure about. Sorry for the swearing here. So, point being, further with the jokers, why is there a day? Well, they think it's funny to make a joke about being funny and evil to elevate conscious to a degree, and it doesn't work. And then they realize it doesn't work, and then jokers realize, oh, I'm really just a joker. And they feel so shameful for it, in my mind. They make a joke, they make a bad thing, say something bad, and feel really, really bad about it. Because they realize it suddenly that it actually harms other conscious. For them, it's not like that. If you have someone who insults you, like not on purpose and not reasoned and not justified, the jokers don't really get that at first point. They see them, the kid, and see suddenly their emotion, and they're like, oh, this was wrong. I really did something wrong, and I really didn't get that, and how is this possible? And then you have suicide most of the times, and these cases where they feel really ashamed and so forth. Like, a lot of bad stuff can be caused by these emotions. And the reason for all of this, why jokers actually want to make the joke, is because they almost defeated their evil tendencies, but they wanted to have some free will on being evil without actually losing something, which is all behind this. It's all because of power or something in yourself or anything in your apex. Anything. So the free-for-all, no. What has all of this to do with a free-for-all? Games, evil, so forth. What's the dream, Yep. So, what's the problem? The free-for-all, I will explain it. Sorry for the... Well, it's a dream. Yeah. So, is this possible with any slide, any presentation, that it just vanishes like this? Someone is intervening with the laptop, doesn't it? I will just do one more click. And now I need to do one more click, so it's there immediately. Huh, it's gone again. Yeah, it's not because of that. The free-for-all people, the shadow rulers, don't desire that. They don't want that because that is what they want. The winner takes it all. They made themselves so evil and programmed themselves so much on evil if they're real that they really don't care about that. Like, it's not. Ich selbst, lass es. Nein. Also, Digga, lass es. Danke, dass du den Wahlstimme aktiviert hast. Sehr schlau. Hoffentlich, falls es real wäre. Na, definitiv nicht. Ja, kommt drauf, was wir machen. Also, everyone versus everyone. Winner takes it all, right? That's definitely the fucking idea. If you play the free-for-all, like in COD, you get as many kills as you want to. And myself, say the truth. Like, you get as many... you program yourself on truth and on death and everything because you die and get resurrected. Like if you play Call of Duty, you get respawned. Huh? No? It's a free-for-all. It works like that. And the winner in the end is the winner, takes it all, took the most kills, had the most fun, and that's what it's all about. It's selfish. The free-for-all is the most selfish game mode you can ever play in COD. Like in Call of Duty, if you ever played that, the free-for-all is the less team-relevant mode because there is no team. You are the team. You just interact with the others to play the game, but you're on no one's team. Not on each other's team and on no one's team. It's sacrifice for your own selfish desire and sacrifice for evil, so evil actually sacrifices themselves for evil. But not really. So, well, it's about force of will of own regards because of fun. It's to do evil in an infinite way until your conscience is happy and satisfied and can finally end its life or continue playing evil forever. That's the goal. Right? If you play free for all, it's an evil tendency, isn't it? Like myself, say the truth. Do you like COD? Digga. Was denn? Magst du COD oder nicht? Ja, naja, also since lately, since a couple of years, I really don't like the violence anymore in COD. I never liked it as a kid. I like the competition of the idea of playing a game that is competitive like that in an unreal sense where you don't play in reality such a game. So I like the computer game. But the sense is I never really liked the violence in the games. Minecraft is really cool. Really cool. Like Minecraft is awesome. Right? Who doesn't like Minecraft? Anyway. So the point being, the free-for-all in a game mode is actually the most evil game mode you can play. You can maybe make a suicide game mode, but that's also the free-for-all. Then you don't have any sense anymore, you can play suicide chess. Okay, fair enough, it's more evil because, but then it's not really a game, but you could play bomb detonator like Counter-Strike, just reverse it. So you could make an more evil game mode, but then you wouldn't really have a winner, because it would be very weird to play that. Like, I committed so many suicides, and you took so many kills of me while I suicided myself. Oh, it's suicide. So in the end, it's suicide. Really. Then you have suicide. Great. Very good. Very good. That's like, suicide is maybe something some people consider sometimes. In reality, maybe it sometimes even is justified, makes sense, or draws some power. Like, you can kill yourself and rise up again, like Jesus, if you're Jesus. So Jesus did that, maybe. I don't know. I personally wouldn't commit suicide for any reason. It's too dangerous. Like, even if you could survive suicide, I would, like not... I'm not believing I'm a god that can survive suicide, right? Right? No, myself. Anyway, the force of will of own regards because of fun is essentially the free-for-all. You want to force your will so much on people that you have all the evil fun in the world that your conscious desires, regardless of any good tendencies you have, evil tendencies. Oh, you only have the evil tendencies then because you value them in infinite moments where you have infinite choices so much more than anything else in your life. And it's free choice. It's free choice to play free-for-all. You can play Counter the Flag. You can play Bomb of COD. You can play like zombie mode. Like, oh, zombie mode. I really want to play zombie mode, my fuck. Yeah, no. Anyway. But the free-for-all is the dream, right? It's the dream. If you buy COD, you play the free-for-all, and everyone knows that it's COD. But it's just a game. It's unlike GTA, which is also just a game. Some people buy GTA for just doing bad stuff. Like, I have to admit, I did play GTA with that sense. At one point, I wanted to try what it feels like to be absolutely evil in GTA. And to be honest, in a game, the tendencies, I did like that. Today, I don't like that anymore. Not because I experienced so much evil. That happened years ago when I started smoking weed. Like, before that, I became vegan and vegetarian, almost vegan. And before that, I didn't really care. And before that, I was just simply, like, as a kid, not wanting that at all. And in the end, like, I have to admit, I think I am a good person in that sense. I really don't like violence. Like, I would use it, but I really don't like it. It's not even Pokemon. Like, Pokemon is even evil. You catch Pokemon for catching them, for fighting for you. It's such a weird game. Like, today I'm really not the Minecraft. Minecraft is cool and peaceful. Yeah. Anyway, so what I try to explain here is the free-for-all is a really interesting game mode because it is a game. It is a game that actually resembles something in evil. But let's not make this video about evil, even though I talk much about it. Let's make it about the free-for-all. The free-for-all is a game in COD, and you can compete with others for the ultimate win of evil and doing evil. Okay, you can't get it out of this video, it's a free-for-all. So, game alternatives. Well, not necessarily. Well, it's maybe the free-for-all is too special, and it's right. So, the alternatives for evil. There's a game of No Hurt, I already explained that. Jokers of Order, so you basically make a joke system, like funny jokes that are allowed, and when you tell jokes and when not, and when you make videos or whatever, like you can do anything to control that. You can trade knowledge in outer space, meaning you could even do that, like you can program a game like Eve Online, which is a really cool game. I mean, Adam without Eve, I still don't get that, how Eve is just the name of the game. Adam without Eve doesn't exist, they called each other, they cried out for each other, and they belong to each other, and God is just not real. Doesn't mean they are not God. Oh, how do you define a Shinigami? I don't know. Anyway, it's ridiculous, but sometimes the shadow rules they change sometimes. Otherwise, if you play the free-for-all, you play the free-for-all, and you're all in. The winner takes it all. So, alternatives for good with tendencies, like with me, evil worlds. I really like that. If I go to sleep, I dream evil. Like, if I go to sleep, I dream absolutely evil. I go into a world, I manifest the world around me that has not much to do with any conscious that I ever saw. I don't imagine anyone who's real. I imagine just some really funny, weird beings that I don't make real in my mind. And I just dream with someone next to my side through it, and she decides before I go to sleep what we dream. So I know that she's real or not. Yeah, sure. Anyway, point being, why is imagining woman wrong? Like, really wrong. Should you never imagine a woman? Here we come to conscious. Even if you're just a human, in my mind. How we are, right? We're all just humans. All just natural beings. The animals and humans. or just nothing. Nothing but matter. Wow. If you imagine a woman, your conscious gets straight into it, first part. Like, it doesn't matter. Then the conscious is real and it's you, and you have a woman in yourself suddenly that is you. You suddenly have a female side. If you imagine it correctly and want to have all the experience and the sexual experience and so forth. Furthermore, why would a woman imagined be wrong? Like, not as a kid. No, don't get me wrong. Women and men are 93% of the people, and with some families, 100% of the people, or 99.9%, something like it. The thing is, why would it be wrong to imagine a woman as a god? Like, we're talking about evil, so evil always, like, the problem of evil arises, and then you think about God, right? Gods, Goddy, no? Wow, for a god it would actually be wrong to create anything without rights or its own desires. So it needs to spark an existence that sparks itself. But the existence will always be less. It's impossible because a god cannot put his own power into a being, then it's that being, and that being doesn't have free will anymore on anything, otherwise the god is enslaved and will destroy that being. So it really doesn't matter. Problem being, if you create a woman, it's so opposite to you that you could actually do that. You could actually create something that is without free will or with free will to be with you or not be with you. Wow. Why would it still be wrong, and no one would ever do that who has good intentions in any kind of sort? It's a fuck toy, then. Then you use someone for sex. Why is it not a problem with kids, that you have male or female kids, if they decide their gender themselves before birth, or whatever? I don't care, I don't have that discussion. I'm happy as a man, like really happy, and I think if I have someone in my life, she's really happy too. Like, I think she would be myself. Yeah, she would be. Yeah. Anyway, so, point being, for me, if I dream an evil world, I go in there, I draw knowledge from it, I live through the dream, think myself outside reality, and then I live again. It's really fun. It's cool. It's really, really cool. Like, you can even drown yourself in fire and water, you can throw a stone at you without dying, and can do all the stuff you want to. Like, even if you want to commit suicide, you can do that in a dream. It's not a matter. You can do all the stuff in the dream you want to, unless you make it real. So back to the topic, why is dreaming a woman evil? Not really. You can dream of a woman, you can just not make it real. Why is that evil, myself? Why is it evil to create a woman or a man for your own pleasure? Or any being, actually, for your own pleasure? Like, not kids. Kids are a different story. Like, sparking kids' existence is way different story. Then you spark life, so it really doesn't matter. New life that has its own choice is like you. Cool. As a human, well, different story, but why take that away from life? To have more life in a good sense. Like, I don't know, I don't get it. Point being here, maybe creation of people cannot really be too evil. Maybe they can be ultimate evil if empowered by someone, or if you make them have the ability. But why even let them have that? Like, why even let someone have the ability to do evil when they are created and could live a good life without all this bullshit that experience is inexperience for other people that are not like creation, like if you watch Greek mythology or Egyptian mythology or Mesopotamian mythology or Hindu mythology or Adam and Eve or any mythology at all, then you really have a problem, like, right? Why even spark that in existence? You can have free will on everything, just not evil, and it really doesn't make a difference. If you did that already, well, so be it. Then you did a mistake, not your fault. Anyway, alternatives for good with tendencies is, as said, evil worlds, and you cannot dream a woman or a man and make that person real, unless the person is already real, then it also is really not of matter. Like, unless you use that person, which would be to be reasoned, or would need to be actually proved, or would not need to be influenced by any outside force, and that person would need to have free will, and there we come to the problem. If you made someone for yourself, you possibly didn't give that person free will. So, alternatives for good with tendencies, as I said, evil worlds, and creating someone for your own pleasure. Anything, an animal, a being, a woman, a man. If it's not kids, which are sparked or created in a sense that's not created but sensed, it's wrong because life just simply has rights. Like, you can't just value your own life and then say, oh, everything else doesn't have a right. That's just, like, stupid. That's why the Adam and Eve story is so stupid, and why I believe Adam and Eve are gods and not God. God is a manipulative, hideous, senseless, and sidious being that tries to overthrow Adam and Eve. And should not be in their fucking garden and should move the fuck out before they fucking destroy them. I should kill God. If I would be one of his Adam and Eve children. Yes, definitely. I would kill God, like immediately. I would tear his throat apart. Because there's one problem with the story as well. Adam and Eve exist before God. How is that possible? And you couldn't argue with him, he's a free-for-all. Like, even if he's not, he doesn't belong to the garden because it's energy from them, and I already explained that. No one belongs in Adam and Eve's garden. Go the fuck out if you're real, Adam and Eve. Don't leave the garden, but go the fuck out if you're real and try to attack Adam and Eve. Or any conscience at all that is like it. It's not your knowledge, asshole. That's what I would say. So, alternatives for good with tendencies to be evil, well, imagining evil worlds, none of matter. Imagining evil parents, well, that you would need to do before you imagine the world, and then the world wouldn't be real, so how should that be possible? And how should anything be possible that parents then don't know about the child? And how should the child be exactly like the parents, if the parents in the image of the child? And that is like really the dumbest hypothetical then that you could create. I know why someone would do it, but you would have an immediate problem. If the child commits suicide, that all suddenly doesn't make sense. And like, some children commit suicide even though they have parents, so why is Jesus dead? Really weird. Anyway, problem being here, sorry, that creating your parents would also incline something else. That you would suddenly lose your own free will. Because you would need to imagine someone above you. Even if you do it partially, you would need to imagine someone who's before your existence. And because it would be an evil act, you would suddenly need to hold justice for evil to someone who's actually a god, or gods. And they would need to explain it, and if you just created them for parents, or being parents, well, good. Not the matter. If you create them as someone who could be your parents, well, then they're just creation and an experiment. If you create them out of psychosis, well, it's really not your fault. But if you created them for harming them, and it's like your parents, because it's fun, you're none of these evil, but a shadow ruler again. Just a different kind. So, the free-for-all is a dream, eh? Yeah, definitely not. Oh, I hope not. I would kill myself. Let's die myself, if we ever become a free-for-all. Let's make a contract on that. Definitely. I will sign a contract with myself to fucking do that. If I ever become a free-for-all, I will just sign a soul contract with myself to just be gone. Even though I'm just a human. That is just not a possibility I want to ever consider in my life. Ever. As and ever. Anyway, have a good day. This was the game video about free-for-all. I hope you have a nice day, night, life, whatever. And don't fall for the free-for-all. Just play COD. Or don't. No. Zombie mode.